Hello and welcome. This is the Daily Dharma. My name is Dina. Thank you so much for joining. Let's take a moment and sync up our energies. Take a nice deep breath. And as we release, let go of any fears, doubts, or lower vibrational energies that have persisted. As we release, intend that God, Goddess, Source, the universe, deal with those issues while we take a moment, get some insight on a matter of importance in your life. So, of course, if this message doesn't resonate, please do go and check out some of our other material. We've got so many videos already posted, some meditations, some science-specific readings. The Daily Dharma is more of taking the collective pulse and trying to figure out what the universe is really asking us to look at and to evolve through. Today, the energy that's stepping through has something to do with the great gender wars that are at play in our situations. So some of you will not feel like this is a very powerful factor in your situation, but others will feel that it's quite extreme and pronounced. We can look at the world stage, we can look at things about patriarchy, we can look at codependency, situations that arise in workplaces, different roles that we're expected to play or that we don't get to play socially without some type of different association cast upon us, stereotyped or some other type of a way. Recently, during the Daily Dharma, we keep getting the Tantric Journey card from the code card deck. And I'm not sure if it'll come out today. We've only got a few cards here in the pre-shuffle that have come out. And that Tantric Journey card, to me, it's talking first and foremost about our ability to work with our own inner ability to receive and our ability and our choices to act, believe, or behave in certain ways, and therefore our ability to influence things or to manifest things. So we are all, no matter how consciously, always engaged in exchange of energies in our lives. And so we are all actually manifestors, and we are always just being encouraged and led to witnessing and observing the energies at work and at play in our lives so that we can come to our own attention and then have that moment of personal inner reflection that hopefully develops some level of great compassion and then evolves the human spirit within and asks us again and again to continue to receive, to continue to be a beacon of the higher vibrational essences and energies that feel good, that make the experience worth living. And so sometimes that can be just the creative force. It can be the experience of some type of passion, whether that's some type of lusty passion, which has its place, or if it's the experience of moving, soul moving feelings that are generated from things like art, music, or the human dimension, and how sharing that experience with other people can bring us to such extreme highs and lows. So before I get too romantic in these energies, the Tantric Journey today is coming forward with a different message, and it's talking about how the growth right now is challenging us in mysterious ways, to some of us be aggravated, others feeling challenged or marginalized, and still other people still being challenged by other people's ideas and values related to the expression of whatever energy that they feel like they want to embody. And does that truly affect us? And why do we feel that other people's personal expression has so much to do with us? In some levels, certain situations, it will. In other situations, it will not. But how do we then choose to wear that energy on the level of how it holds space in our energy? Does it hold us up? Does it bolster and uplift, or does it kind of tether us to certain types of situations so that we can figure something out to liberate our consciousness from some type of looping idea or fear or fight, flight, freeze, fawn response, where we have something going on before we can pass to the next level. So I did take some time prior to recording today to throw the coins, which I use to read the I Ching. I don't do it often with the throwing. I usually just fan and reach a page. So I'll save you the explanation. You can look it up if you're interested and unfamiliar with the I Ching. However, what we have here, the first hexagram that was brought forth is number 59. So that reduces to a 5, and it's called reuniting, and then in parentheses, dispersion. So those two concepts to me seem opposite. And so reuniting clearly is the coming back together, where dispersion is things either expanding or moving away from the center. And I think that what we're talking about is that energetic exchange and how we can resonate in that harmonic coherence and connect on things that bring us together, to have these experiential moments where we break through and share resonance with each other and understand that we are sacred mirrors. And then when we have the dispersion energy, that can happen a number of ways. And it was being shown to me a bit like a molecule when they used to teach us about how, the hydrogen oxygen bond that comes in water, how when oxygen is heated, it expands and expands and expands, and ultimately then it liberates the particles of the hydrogen and the oxygen, and it becomes mist or vapor. It dissipates into the atmosphere because it comes into a different state of beingness where it is liberated from its material form. Where if it's cold and it's more and more chilled down, then it becomes so slow moving that it actually begins to freeze, and then it becomes even more solid, even more immovable. It's very rigid and stuck in its form. And so let's get into these. I won't read the whole passage, but I'll just read you just a little bit. Reuniting dispersion here. I'll start it out here. All civilizations. Oh, and the book by R.L. Wing, such a good book. It says all civilizations have experienced that powerful moment in time when the separatist factions among the people dissolve into the general enthusiasm and commitment to a common cause. So at the time of this broadcast, we can even look at this like, oh, well, it's time for gratitude and good tidings because it's the holiday season. We can also talk about how things such as political transition times, such as we're also experiencing right now, bring people together to figure out or to help the transition or to create dialogue between that space of what has been and what's becoming. Although rare and extraordinary, these times are deeply significant. And now we're talking about how something such as like a mass consciousness event can make everybody kind of stop and take notice. It's some type of fear and awe moment, perhaps. Says, these times are deeply significant in both the development of the civilization and the well being of the individual. Benjamin Franklin said it best, perhaps, when he said, "We must all hang together, or assuredly we will all hang separately." Interesting. And so it talks about how different groups can kind of bring us together for common purposes, and how within those groups it can be very important to identify and work through any types of dissension that would polarize or interfere with the group's cohesion and sense of solidarity. So it talks about also the timing of this being especially important, to make sure to speak about something or to handle something when it's at its beginning stage, before something gets time to develop into something enormous or out of control. Anything else here? Also among family members, as far as practice of family tradition, religious ritual, or family recreation, the members may seem to drift even farther from one another, losing touch with their roots in certain situations. And these are some of the most important relationships you'll have in your life, even if some of you will say, well, they're not the most positive. They may absolutely be some of the most impactful, and in that way have your personality and everything that you wish to become has its roots in all that you are. So we're talking also a bit about integration of our own ego, and how we see things as stepping stones, or that albatross that hangs from our neck enslaving us to something. I'm seeing the men's necktie. Um, So it advises us to focus on the issues that could potentially bring everyone together into mutual accord. And so within the self, this reuniting, or tantric journey, that inner masculine, feminine, trying to work together within our personality, it's connected to your spiritual development here. So you should now try to renew your inner faith in whatever way that has meaning for you, through some type of self-knowledge. Reacquaint yourself with your true heartfelt origins, and reunite yourself with your source and your beingness, or your faith, perhaps. I'm not talking about necessarily your religious faith or trust issues here. But yeah, with the source of your beingness. So I got all but one of these. The second line was unchanged. Every other line was changing. And that brought us to, surprisingly, the hexagram 34, known in this book as great power. And this one's an extremely important symbol, because it talks about how we gain some type of recognition or influence or leadership or authority in some type of manner, and how during these times of great influence that we are inevitably leading many individuals. And so we can sometimes talk about how great power has the great potential to corrupt the one that holds it. So it's a lot of this is about working through any types of old baggage, old paradigms, and so on. It says great power, when it befalls a man, is a true test of his character. All of his actions have significant influence upon others. What he says is heard, and what he thinks is felt. He has the wherewithal to bring enlightenment and progress to his world, or to lead it into chaos and evil. He can greatly further his inner development or completely exhaust himself. Therefore, the man possessing great power is mostly concerned with correctness. Keep in mind that power is a means and not an end in itself. In applying the available forces to the situation at hand, be certain that your timing is exact and that your actions are correct. That is in the best interest for all concerned. The Chinese here point out that actions that combine both correctness and great power represent the true character and tendencies of heaven and earth, the great masculine and the great feminine in their divinity. And so the responsibility of correctness here is unparalleled in importance. For actions that are inappropriate or incorrect will pull you and others into chaos. So, yeah, it's definitely a responsibility. And so others may be looking for you for some type of leadership or reassurance here. And so it advises here to maintain a strictly traditional role. Even innocent deviations from the traditional could end in emotional disaster. So when others potentially come seeking you for wisdom, guidance, or truth, is it truly us that could pretend to be their source? We're just other sparks in the dark in some ways. So we can do our best, but it's always best to point the individual to their own inner reflection and inner process. And all we can speak about with us is our own process and experience. And we can allow that to be shown as an example, but it's not for us to tell others what their process should be. So for one situation, I've noticed that there are no end to the people sometimes that are talking about what it means to be the divine masculine and feminine, and how the over-functioning feminine isn't allowing the masculine. She's not surrendering to his autonomy and authority type of behavior. And that's not what they're saying, but that's the way it kind of comes through. And they'll say that, well, the masculine isn't supposed to be this or that. He's not supposed to be emotional. I want to not get into my own issues with this, because this is something here that I want the cards to talk about. So yes, it says to transcend difficulties in your inner development by remaining mindful of your own shortcomings in this situation, your own humanness. Do not assume that this power indicates strength of character or that it justifies all of your attitudes and opinions. We are all here learning. This is just another test. Pay special attention to your timing, propriety, and goodness in order to fully employ the great power available to you. In bringing enlightenment and progress to others, you strengthen your own sense of health and well-being. So that's great. So it says sometimes the best way to remain sane is to love like crazy. Works for me, the universe. Love doesn't have to mean near. So there's all kinds of toxic individuals out in the world. It may be time for you to make a demonstration with one of these people I just saw. But it says your treasure is at hand. Honor thyself. So it also says, just curious, when was the last time you looked into the mirror and addressed yourself as gorgeous, magnificent, or sublime? It matters. Here's looking at you, gorgeous, the universe. P.S. Okay, hubba hubba counts. And then it says, sure, you can always find prettier, handsomer, skinnier, wiser, richer, younger, zippier, but more often than not, one learns the most laughs the loudest, and smiles the widest with those they've already found, especially when they stop looking elsewhere. Actually, Zippier is on quite a few lists. Tally ho, the universe. So it's kind of like, I think, talking about how we can be perfectionists in our own energy from time to time, but that quest for perfection also talks about how we are potentially not embracing the beauty of the inner darkness, so that dark god goddess energy also needs to be brought into things in great measure, because let's say, it's best to stay in our own lane, but when we see great evil out in the world, great corruption of great powerful sources, uh, is it not also part of our responsibility to, when we see something, to offer something, but it's in how we offer up that suggestion for others, I believe. So I've mixed my Sacred Geometry Activations Oracle deck with my Beyond Lemuria deck. I'm not sure I'm going to love that yet, but here's how it's playing out so far. Under the deck, we had Alchemy and Healing, because I split the deck, number 30 and number 8. It's reminding me about the Lionsgate portal this year, right about August 8th. So something may have been changing for you in regards to your own personal authority, autonomy, and the way that you wish to influence the world. Or maybe you've made some changes since that time or around that time that are starting to come to mind for whatever reason here. But so the 3 cards that came out, and I did throw these cards here, interestingly, before I threw the coins for the I Ching. And here we see gracious receptivity with crown chakra and authority. And I thought this was quite interesting because we've got this gracious receptivity again with that in her hands, they're kind of floating. We've got that, oh, what's it called? Is it called a tetrahedron? And it's like the Merkaba field here is the way it's showing. And there's an eyeball on her throat space. And then this light here happening at her forehead, and the crown chakra shows this blooming lotus here. To me, this card is talking about the way that we surrender appropriately. It's not that we need to defer to other people's authority. That's some type of false surrender. We have to surrender our illusion of control over other individuals, or needing them to feel or think or be how would make us more comfortable. And again, back to these individuals who are instructing people how to be themselves in a better way. It just, to me, seems so ludicrous. And if you've followed any of my community page recently, you've seen some of the things that I've been bringing up, not because I believe everything these individuals have to say, but because I think that it helps us to understand the lesser focused upon narratives that help us to question our own belief structures. And so I feel like that's the point and the purpose of what's being shown to us, whether it's something happening in your life that's making you uncomfortable, or that you are finding yourself making others uncomfortable. I feel like if we're looking back at the I Ching here, we've got this reuniting dispersion energy happening, where it's like there's already great division, and many of us are here helping the collective to remember how how to be unified within themselves, how to be aligned and not constantly in that fight flight cognitive dissonance struggle mentality about like needing to educate, needing to fix people, so to speak, instead of just showing them to themselves, giving them some type of rule book or expectation list for themselves. And so in society, this recollection is us hoping to break free from the crown chakra, which of the main chakras, sometimes the crown chakra can be the most, I want to use the word deviant. The monkey mind, the ego, is the furthest from the center of the earth. In the earth, the root, the root of the tree is where everything centralizes. And then in the canopy, the branches are what the expansion point is. So we've got that 0-1 happening where it's like the crown includes everything. It is the all that is. It's the cosmos. It's the individuated journey that is happening. And it's so subjective and variable. It's all of the various facets of the gem sparkling, and they wouldn't shine as much if they all were one ideology and one thing, right? It needs to kind of capture and help the light be all bent up into like a prism to bend and turn the light so that it sparkles in multiple ways, like some kind of disco ball is in my mind. And so how we help or thwart those processes, it's kind of like we all have great potential, and then we also have some pitfalls, and we're working through this together. So we that are here doing our best to raise the consciousness and to integrate our own process here, we are imbued with significant power and capacity and alchemy here to influence the collective through the course of our radiance. And so whether we find it to be positive or negative attention, we are, many of us here, unmistakable energy signatures. And so we might inspire and we might trigger, and we might be triggered or inspired in the process, and all of the above can be true. But I feel like we are in this process of attempting to liberate other individuals from closed mindedness, to open and expand the hearts and minds of others within the collective here, to hopefully, whether they're witnessing our own process and our own ego foibles, is that a word? I feel like this crown chakra here is being able to, as our own energy signatures are developing, to witness how great our power is, how great of a cage or key to that cage becomes our thought process and our vibrational resonance. And so it's like following our own inner guidance, our own truth, and then speaking that forward in the correct manner can absolutely help other individuals to tap into their own sense of autonomy and authority. So let's see. I spoke longer than I thought I would, as I often do. Let's see. Actually, the only effective way of changing another person is by changing yourself. It works every time, guaranteed, though I'm kind of partial to the way you are right now. Tally ho, the universe. Start where you are. Yeah, we're divinely positioned for this next leg of the journey, and we've just learned something really, really profound, although it may seem quite simple. And it says, you have what it takes. Absolutely. Many of us here have been born with some type of radiant charisma that has been the reason why both positive and negative attention finds us, because we have great gravity And that creates great magnetism and great attention. It's like many of us, we can wear sweats and still get attention, you know? Uh, and so you have what it takes to push through this situation that's challenging or creating friction. And it says, always follow your heart unless it's been broken, and then you must lead it back into love, the universe. P.S. Did you know that hearts are never too big to mend, too small to rebound, or too tired to love again? So you have what it takes to make this comeback. If they loved you once, they still do. So I don't know if we're talking about friends or family members coming back for the holidays, but it looks like somebody's pushing through some type of ego limitation, and it can be that tough moment of apology or something. But there's something to be built on. It could, for some of you, be the repair of an intimate partnership. It says, thanks for every single time you ever fell in love, whether or not it was obvious, whether or not it lasted, and whether or not you were loved back. It changed everything. Actually, you're always loved back. You changer, the universe. I'm seeing completion leveling up here. Anything finally coming through? Advice to close out the message. Yeah, I'm hearing don't be upset. Being upset just obscures the power in the situation. Look beyond the surface. Avoid becoming distracted by surface issues to focus on the underlying motivation, cause, or beauty in the situation. Seek ways to bring depth to your world, because that's how we move beyond the corruption of our energy and work to the reunification. And next, single-mindedness. Choose your own path and what's best suited for you. It's, this whole stay in your own lane, in this being able to follow your own authority here and to not require anybody else to follow you or whatever, just to do your own thing and let your experience speak for itself and your evolution to inspire. You're making huge changes and leaping through the air here. This is a big level up. A plan that you've made is on track. If you've been waiting for something, get to work and stop putting off ideas on or the projects that you're considering working on right now. So it might be reaching out to somebody, it might be getting to work with something else, but it looks like you've got the ability to shift some type of circumstance here. Yep, the heart chakra is showing up here. And evolution, beautiful. Yeah, you are definitely a change bringer. You've been chosen for this, and it's part of your sacred destiny to help other individuals to stop the infighting and to recognize how whether we talk about men or women, we both have issues and dysfunction on both ends of the gender polarity. And so to not keep pointing fingers is going to help us to really reflect and exponentially evolve and outgrow something that held us back previously. So time to liberate ourselves before the turn of the calendar year. And so here we have solstice this weekend. So take your time, light your candles, and stay blessed up at this time. Don't let yourself get frustrated. It's all in good order, and things are coming together. Take good care. Until next time, folks. Bye.